Klaus is a existential narrative to the puzzle platformer game about a guy who wakes up in a basement with no recollection of who he is and how he ended up there. And now he has to find his way out while breaking the fourth wall and acknowledging that he's being controlled by you, the player. I'm Victor Velasco. I'm the game designer, writer, the animator, composer of the game.
I'm Ginaris Sarra, the level designer of Klaus.
It's really related to that place and time that we were. We are from Venezuela, and we were at that time just recently graduated as system engineers, and we were starting to see how was real life, going into the company. Like, are you gonna stay in there your whole life? Like, which is fine if you're into that. Like, no guilt in that. But in our case, we were like, okay, are you just part of a year of a system? And we tried to put a lot of us in the game in a weird sick way. Us making the game, it was like Klaus trying to escape from the basement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The indie game scene, it was a bit part of making the game because Victor was the one who that introduced me to this movement. I didn't know at that time. And when I saw Braid Fest, I was very impressed. And I say to myself, I want to create something beautiful like that.
I love video games. Gina loves video games, but we never felt that we could be part of that industry because it was really structured, right? Like, you have to study game design. You have to be in a big company like, I don't know, Konami, Capcom, or Nintendo. And but then when the indie movement came out, when we start playing Braid, Fast, Super Meat Boy, Limbo, all of these great games, and there are a bunch of them in Newsground too, like that they were mind blowing. Like, oh, this was made by one or two people, and they still feel more personal than what we were playing before. And that was the starting point. Like, oh, you can make a personal video game. You don't need this amazing 3D graphics or just high technology. You just can just do your own thing. And that was it was like Thomas Was Alone was another one. So I would say that the indie movement really inspired us to just make this game for sure.
We wanted to create contrast between world. For us, it was an easy way to show the inner emotion of the character.
Yeah, I think yeah, as Gina was saying, like we were trying to go to the psychology of the colors and how the character was feeling at that point, and what will be better, like when you go to the rooftop, that you see all the colors of the day, right? Like starting from bright blue, with sun, then you go to the sunset, and then finally night. So we thought that going to colors with nature for when he goes out would be like the answer for it. In terms of reference, like, yeah, Eastern European, a lot of Polish film posters. We love them, and in fact, some of the posters that you see in the offices are little inspirations from these Polish film posters. But I would say that the main reference was Masaki Yuasa. There is an anime called Tatami Galaxy that was super inspiring because it also shows adult themes, even though it was using a colorful color palette, right? And a limited color palette. Also, a huge inspiration was the German band Kraftwerk. They say like we are the robots. That's one of their songs, and they use suits and they are robots, and they use a lot of minimalism, constructivism, and that was one of the things that why we wanted to use a German name that started with a
Mhm.
K because of Kraftwerk. And so we were thinking like, hey, it will give it a strong personality. You have this colorful world, but with this like really straight German name, like so. Yeah,
And they use this minimalist palette, color palette too.
yeah,
With they
exactly.
use red, black, white.
And of course, like Klaus is super inspired by Cowboy Bebop as well, and you can see the red, the silhouettes, all of that economy of colors, even the soundtrack in some way. I did electronic music before for my thesis. I learned it by myself, and after that, I just kept doing songs and so on. And but we still needed more, right? So at some points, we were working like 12 to 15 hours in the game, and then I had to go back and start keep composing, just grabbing some scenes. So it was pretty stressful, but I think that it also saved us a lot of time because I knew what the game was and I was talking all the time with Gina. So there wasn't never like a miscommunication into, oh, this is what we wanted to say in this level, why the music is not fitting. Like we always try to fit the music to the game, and it was pretty easy because I was the one doing both.
As a level designer, I feel the responsibility to choose song track for each word and do the testing and feel it because everything is about the pacing and the mood
And
and
it
feel
also
it.
helped being with Gina because she's like the harshest critic ever. So if Gina proved it, like I knew we were fine, but I a lot of time was like it's not good enough for Gina, so it's not good enough for the world. How can we have a narrative while you have like a high action game, right? I'm a graphic designer and we're motion graphic artists too. So I thought like, why don't we just put them in the world, and it goes well. It feels like typography at some point. It feels like graphic design. And also I think because English is not our mother language, we can always go back and read what happens before. When we were developing the PlayStation 4 version, we realized that people weren't reading it. And so we came up with the idea of how about if they pop up just when you are next to it and you have a grunt or something like that, just so people can start reading the story. And it was really challenging to match the pacing of the gameplay with the pacing of the dialogues. So sometimes when you have just a long labyrinthine, when you're just walking around and running, okay, we can have a lot of text in there. But if you have something that is chasing you at that point, no text. So just finding the sweet spot of that was a challenging, but I think that it paid off. We were playing a lot of these indie games on Newgrounds and everything, and they had these crazy ideas, right, of subverting what you have played millions of times in Mario. But we never found like a way to put it in there. Like how can you throw the book out of a window and have something refreshing? And because it's a game within a game in some way, we thought like, oh, maybe we can just break the rules for this time because Klaus is a hacker, maybe he has to hack his way out.
And also, it was a way to keep the player engaged with these new refreshing levels and also with a different color palette. We wanted to break for this small amount of time the monotony of the the color palette of the world, for example, the red or the green. So it was a way to, okay, no, it's not red anymore. We can play with this crazy mechanics, with these beautiful colors, and then go back to the journey, the main journey.
And it was super amazing when we show it to people, but we noticed something, that it was happening really really late in the game. Like that's why we love the glitch world, because you are so used to something and then you have a subversion. Like after half of a game you already know what is going to happen, and so you only have like new mechanics or stuff like that, but nothing like puts you out like in a movie, right? The midpoint, somebody dies or something like that, and it wakes you up, right? We wanted that wake up late in the game, so hey, you can finish the game, you there's still more surprises going on here, like you still don't know what the game is about. I hope that people got engaged with the story and characters that we put
Mhm.
so much care on. Like the things that we were trying to convey, they resonate with them, and just like the main core, that it was just making I think I say that before, but like making a short game, but that people can still remember it after playing it, just like how it happens with films or with a great video game. We wanted to make something short, but like that it stays with you in some way. So if it stays with them, like I think we accomplish our goal. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. We wanted to connect with people around the world that feel the same way as us.